Okay, the first question was about the illumination form. Either it should be left or right. I need to first of all answer about this. So illumination form can be from left to right or right to left. It purely depends upon the choice of structure that you are going to simulate in scaffolding. So one thing you should know about this SCAP, it can simulate two kind of structures, like it can be inverted architecture, it can be non-inverted architecture. I hope you have little bit knowledge about that inverted and non-inverted architectures.
Yes.
Like in SCAP, we can simulate NIP architecture or PIN architecture. What actually it means, when we are going to simulate any architecture, we need to identify that our light will be incident first of all either on n-type material or p-type material. Like if I am going to show you over here from this structure, my perovskite solar cell has structure like NIP. It means what? My incident light will be from bottom, from FTO glass, then ETL, then perovskite, and then copper thiocyanide. So this is NIP architecture. My light is being incidented from bottom of the portion, and it will direct, then glass, then ETL, then perovskite and copper thiocyanide. And second possibility, if I want to make it from illumination from left to right, you can see that my illumination side has been changed. Now, what actually means? It means that my architecture is now PIN architecture, inverted architecture. Vanita, you should clearly make sure about that. There are certain advantages for simulating inverted architecture, and there are certain disadvantages as well. And the same case is with non-inverted architecture. We have seen that some architectures like non-inverted architectures have better power conversion efficiency and other parameter. You can see that I have just clicked from illumination from left to right. Now the light will be incident on what? On p-type semiconductor material first, then perovskite, then ETL, then FFTU glass. This is the non-inverted architecture. Okay, so it has been seen that most of cases non-inverted architecture can be beneficial and cannot be beneficial, but in my simulation case I have already uploaded the mixed type videos you can get from help. So first question was about the illumination form. So it purely depends that either you are going to simulate inverted architecture or non-inverted architecture, planar architecture. So if you are interested about inverted architecture, it will be incident from bottom of the portion. Okay, from FTO, then ETL, perovskite, and copper thiocyanide. And if you are interested to simulate a non-inverted architecture, uh, it should be incident from top of the your simulation device, like HTL, perovskite, and ETL, and FTO glass. It was about your first query. And second query is about the voltage, reference voltage, and then the current. I strongly recommend you that whenever you are going to simulate any perovskite structure, you should apply your voltage from left to right contact. Each each simulation structure that is being simulated in SCAP must have one ended voltage and second should be grounded. So normal in SCAP simulation we tend to keep the voltage from where, from left to right, but you can change it to right to left. But the same thing is that it purely depends upon the architecture, either it is inverted or non-inverted. For normal case, for normal simulation, for almost all the perovskite simulation, or for silicon based, gallium arsenide base, we normally keep this portion as reference voltage from left to right. We normally put input in from left side, and your ground side should be on the right side. And the same case for current reference as the consumer generator. In normal condition, we believe that we are going to simulate our perovskite structure SCAP 1D for consumer purpose. And for that case, we should keep this button as it is. So I think you should keep your mind either you are going to provide your current as a reference as a consumer or generator. If you are working with some consumption side, it should be like top of the portion, and if it is for generator side, it should be like that. So there are two things: the direction of the current. If it will be consumer side, the current direction will be inward to your perovskite device. And if you will keep this button as a generator side, it will be outward. So the both things. Normal case, I strongly recommend you to keep the voltage from left to right and current as a consumer side instead of generator side. Okay.
Okay, so can so what is the reason that we should keep the applied voltage to the right contact or the current reference as a
I just
generator
explained you,
or
Banita, that
consumer?
it purely depends upon your architecture in case of the voltage and in case of the illumination. And in case of the voltage, if you are working with non-inverted architecture, it should be from left to right content. If it is inverted architecture, you can put right to left. And it purely depends upon the kind of architecture that you are being to simulate in SCAP 1D. And when we talk about the current case, there are two categories for consumer side and for generator side. And we are more interested in consumer side. That's why normally in USCAPs, all the simulation being carried out without changing this button. But in case of your architecture, you can change from illumination from left to right or left to right or right to left, and you can apply your voltage depending upon your architecture. It can be from left contact to right contact and right contact to left contact. But in case of the current, you normally keep consumer side as same as it is. And same case, you can also invert your architecture by clicking over here button. So first and second question is purely connected with your type of architecture that you are being to simulate, either NPN, IPN, NIP architecture or PIN architecture.
Okay.
Okay, and do you have any question about any analysis and like you can say any other query about simulation?
Yes, sir. I want to know how to extract the data. In your last video, I have seen that how to save the graphs. But if you want to plot the graph on Origin or other software, so how can we extract the data from
Oh,
here?
so for that case, you need to perform batch analysis, and in batch analysis, from batch analysis you can set starting and ending range, and when you will click on, I think, show plot or show graph, and it can show you different compositions. But I strongly recommend you SCAPs can easily provide you any kind of graphical representation. It is very easy thing. If you have seen my video that was related to batch setup and record setup, basically the record setup can provide a better graphical representation. We don't need to make our graph on some other software like Origin, etc. I think you haven't seen my video that was related to a record setup. Have you seen that
Yes,
video?
I have seen that. Yes, I have seen that video.
Okay. So
Both
what
the
was the,
batch setup.
yes, what was the issue about that? Don't you have a smooth graphical representation after computation of record setup or record computation?
Actually, the data which I got means the graph. It was that e to power. The range was in the e to the power ratio. So if I want to plot it in decimal, uh,
Okay, for
so I
that
have
case,
to.
for that case,
Yes,
for that case, I have already uploaded one other video. For that case, you need to do what? You need to set one value and you need to compute a power conversion as fill factor and other parameter. And then, like if I am going to explain about the defect density, You are going to check the effect of the defect density, 10 raised power 1 raised power 80, 15, 16, 17. Each value will provide you some tentative results. You can put results in Excel sheet and you can easily plot the graph, and then on Excel you can change the axis whatever you want to. I have already uploaded this for the same video for the how we can make better graph representation in Excel by taking some data from SCAF simulation tool. And I think that is about 12th or 13th video that is on my channel. You don't need to go to Origin and need other software.
Okay.
And any other question related to analysis or structure or material or perovskite, etc.?
So can you please explain the interface, how to add?
Okay, what is the actual question? Kindly repeat. You are asking how to add interfacing layer or interfacing
No,
defects.
this this adjacent to these layers, there is one another this FTO indium
Indium
sulfate
sulfide,
something.
yes,
So
indium
can you
sulfide.
please explain how to add? Yeah, yes.
Okay, okay.
So how to add data here?
How to add
Data here.
data layer? What kind of
Is
data
it
layer?
similar to the data? How to add the data, DATA?
Okay, I got it. In which layer you want to add data? If you are interested in interfacing layer,
Yeah. Yes. Yes,
okay,
we are. I'm interested in the interface.
okay. Look at here. Uh, if I'm talking about data, let me try to explain more briefly. Normally, the defect type, first is defect type. You need to select it in neutral. Okay. Most of all the simulation that is being carried out has defect type neutral. And then there is another portion you can see from screen, cross section electron, cross section hole. You can vary your values, like it has 1 raised by minus 19 and hole and electron. You can vary depending upon your architecture and depending upon your parametric values. As in some papers they have kept this value to minus 15 and minus 15 and minus 19 minus 13 depending upon whatever they want to simulate, what kind of parameter or over there. And then energetic distribution, it should be single. Okay. And last is most important thing. This is the total defect density. It is about the interfacing defect density between what FTO glass and indium sulfide interface. If it will be more higher, your results will be poor and your performance of device will be degraded. So it is about total defect density of what FTO glass and indium sulfide interfacing layer. So for that data, for that interfacing layer data, you need to keep the same pattern. And you can vary your total defect density. It can be 14, 15, 16, 17. But I assure you that if you keep this defect density, interfacing defect density higher, your performance of the device will be extremely degraded. And next important thing, oh, and then you need to click over here. And most important thing is about that the interfacing layer between ETN and perovskite. It is very important interfacing layer. You can set defect type neutral, and once again cross section of electron and holes. It purely depends upon architecture and parametric values. Either you can keep minus 13 minus 14, 15, and you can also perform analysis like you are increasing your cross section electrons value and holes value. What are the impact over power conversion efficiency, fill factor, and other parameter. So it can be very helpful in analyzing the what is the impact of the cross section of electron and holes over my perovskite device. And next is what energetic distribution. Let me add you more important thing that in most of the paper, whenever you try to read about simulation of perovskite on SCAF 1D, most of the people have Gaussian energetic distribution, most of Gaussian, this one. But you can also check
Yes.
with single, but in most of the paper, you can see that they have set the energetic distribution as a Gaussian. It is the only case for what kind of interfacing layer between perovskite and ETL, not for any other interfaces. I hope you are getting my point. Okay. Have you
Yes, sir.
studied any paper about SCAP simulation, and you have seen that the interfacing layer between ETL and perovskite, the energy distribution should be Gaussian. Have you seen any
Uh,
paper?
yes, yes, I have seen. The
Okay.
most of the paper they have put the Gaussian and defect type as neutral.
Yes, it is the same thing. And I just told you that this is a case only for what interfacing layer between ETL and the perovskite. It is not about perovskite with HTL, and it is not about FTO glass with the ETL. So it is most important thing. And once again, you can change your value, and you can check that by keeping the higher value, what is the impact over performance, by keeping the lower value of the interfacing capture cross section electron and holes, what can be the impact. And then if you keep this value energy distribution as Gaussian, you can see that it will provide you two kind of defect density. First one will be integrated and second one will be the peak one. And if you keep this as a single, it will show you only single. But the most of the people have done what they have kept it in Gaussian. So it's about the second interfacing layer and about the defects. Okay. And this is the last one. This is the last one. This is the interfacing layer between perovskite and copper thiocyanide. And once again, make sure you can set your defect type. And I surely recommend you keep it in neutral form. And the cross section, once again, you can vary. You can vary from 15, 16, 17, 19, and 20. You can check impact, and you can compute some graphical representation that your interfacing capture cross section electrons of perovskite and and HTL layer was providing what kind of impact over your performance. And for this, for that case, for this interfacing layer, your energetic distribution should be single. You will never see any paper that people have kept this energetic distribution with a Gaussian. So the only thing you need to keep, only the interfacing energetic distribution should be Gaussian for case of perovskite and ETL. And over here is the total defect density, and you should make sure there is the surface defect density of the layer, and there is the interfacing defect density. These are two different things. You can perform two kind of analysis. First one, the layer defect density. It can be absorber layer, it can be ETL layer, it can be HTL layer. And second will be what? Second will be the interfacing defect density between HTL and perovskite, between ETL and perovskite, and other as well. I hope this was the fourth question about your side. I think, is it clear now?
Yes, yeah, it is clear to me. And one more question: if
Yes.
we want to add the reflection or transmission losses, or about the data about the absorption,
Okay.
so how
Okay.
can we add?
Okay. For that case, you can see I have just clicked over this perovskite layer, and it is showing me over here absorption interpolation model. You can set absorption data in two ways, from your model and from your file. And if I am, yeah, it means that I am going to insert my absorption internally or externally. If I am more interested to set absorption file from externally, you should know most important thing, you need to have some data that must be between absorption coefficient and the wavelength. For this perovskite, it can be conducted from lab point of view, and you can also easily get some graphical representation from any particular published paper. For this perovskite, there will be a two-dimensional graph having on x-axis wavelength, in nanometer, and the absorption coefficient alpha value on y-axis. And then you need to do what? You need to put your values in Excel form, and then you need to convert your Excel file into text file. And then you can set, like if I am going to click over from file, and it is asking me from where I am going to upload my file. And you should keep in your mind that whenever you are going to insert or import absorption data externally, you should save your file with abs.abs extension. Lot of people don't know about that. In scap directory, you can see that here we have aias.abs layer and like other. But for that purpose, you need to first get some data between wavelength and absorption coefficient, and that can be computed from lab experimental results from your supervisor, or if you are working from theoretical session, you can get that data from some published paper. You can have at least 10 to 12 rows, and you should make your absorption.abs file. And the only way how you can create, you need to first put your data in Excel file, and then from Excel file you need to set your parameter like wavelength in nanometer and your absorption coefficient in centimeter and whatever its unit. And then you need to change its extension from text file. And when you are going to save your text file, it should be like perovskite.abs in what directory, in def directory that has been installed in your particular destination. And then you can put absorption layer, absorption data externally from your external source.